Hello YouTube, this is Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review for you today. For this one I'm going to do another Christmas seasonal beer, with it being December, and this was one that I was a little bit worried that I wasn't able to find over the last little while, and it's from one of the breweries that have gradually become my favourites over the last year or so since I discovered their beer. So this is probably one of my favourite breweries, I have to say. But today we're going to revisit Iceland, and I have for you the Einstök Ölgerð's Icelandic Doppelbock beer. Now I've already done video reviews of the Icelandic White Ale and the Icelandic Pale Ale of this one, so you'll find the links to those in the video description here, so check those out if you're interested. I also posted those to the Einstök Facebook page actually when I first did them, and they seemed to really enjoy them, and they branded me as the Ale Slinger of Aberdeen, the city where I study, so that's quite funny. They're really into their sort of Viking imagery and stuff like that, this brewery. But this is another beer I've picked up as well from Thistle News on Holborn Street in Aberdeen. They're a little news agents who have a good selection of craft beer, primarily Danish and American craft beer, but if you're watching from the Aberdeenshire area of Scotland, I highly recommend that you go and check them out. Support your local businesses and stuff like that is always a good thing. But anyways, as is usual with my beer reviews, I'll just take you through a little bit of a history of the brewery for you today. But if you are simply just interested in the tasting of this beer, then feel free to fast forward towards the last segment in the video and you will catch that particular section. But anyway, the Einstök Ölgerð was founded in 2010 by the Americans Bernard Labori, David Altschuler and Jack Sichterman, who are all self-confessed beer geeks. Now Jack used to work for the Harley Davidson motorcycle company, while David is a lawyer, and I think he deals primarily with the legal side of the company. But the foundation for this brewery is the water in Iceland. It's one of the purest in the world due to the high magnesium and calcium content that you would associate with the highly volcanic environment up there. And apparently this is the major selling point of the brewery, understandably, and you will taste this in the beers. They are very, very unique and very, very good beers, and I highly recommend that given the chance you check anything out that you can get from this brewery. But the three men partnered up with the company Vilafell, who are a beverage bottler and distributor, actually one of the largest and most respected companies in Iceland. But this company also owned the Viking Brewery in Akureyri in northern Iceland, and this is where the collaboration to create the craft brewery began. Now Akureyri is just 60 miles south of the Arctic Circle, and it's a fishing port town. It has a population of only about 30,000 people, and indeed Iceland only has a population of about 300,000 people. It's a very sparsely populated country, but very beautiful nonetheless. Now the water in this area flows from rain and prehistoric glaciers down the Hlíðarfjall mountain and through the lava fields, and apparently this is the purest water in the world, and this is actually one of the coolest water sources I've read about when I've been reviewing beers. It's a really, really unique one, as I say. But the collaboration for the Einstök Ölgerð also includes Baldur Karason, who is the master brewer, and he was born in a small town called Siglufjörður in the north of Iceland, but he moved to Akureyri in 1981, and after completing his school education in the city, he began to work for the Viking Brewery in quality control and food science, and it was there that his interest in craft brewing began to manifest. Now in 1993 he left Iceland to study at the prestigious brewing programme at Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh, Scotland, and he became the first Icelander to do this in 50 years. Now upon his return to Iceland he became the head brewer at the Viking Brewery, and since then he has introduced several new recipes and increased the production of the brewery, and he's also worked closely with Löwenbräu, Carlsberg and the Domens Institute in Germany, so he has a very advanced knowledge of brewing, and this makes him the ideal head brewer for Einstök Craft Brewery. But anyway, interesting though that the company has Interestingly, while the company is based in Iceland, their biggest export market is actually California, where the founders are based, and this is primarily due to the fact that that Iceland does have a very small population, but Iceland does act as their test market for their new beers and stuff like that. So the first batches of any new beers that come out are released in Iceland, but they've also launched in Florida fairly recently, and I saw a post on their Facebook page actually where they said the first beers were arriving in Estonia, which is quite cool. So they are in a process of expanding, and they also have a significant export market to Scotland and the rest of the UK as well. But as I say, they're primarily an export brewery just due to the fact that Iceland has such a small population, 300,000 people or so roughly. But their marketing slogan in the USA is drink, conquer, repeat, and they say that this is the battle cry for modern Vikings for the great adventure ahead. And if you go through their Facebook page, you get an idea of just how into the sort of Nordic and Viking imagery they are. It's really cool actually. Someone at the brewery seems to have a really big liking for the Marvel Thor films, which is quite cool. But anyway, just to tell you a little bit about the individual beers themselves, as I mentioned, they also do a white ale and a pale ale. That's the blue, and they have the white ale is a white label and the pale ale is the blue label respectively, and they also have a toasted porter, which is a black label one. The Pale Ale, all of these beers have actually won awards, which is quite cool, and those 3 are the year-round availabilities. This is the Christmas seasonal one. I believe it's available from October to December. It's taken me a little while to get a hold of this one actually, but I'll just point out some stuff on the bottle as I usually do with these beers when I review them. Now, as you can see, Einstök in Icelandic means unique, which they say is great because there's nothing else in the world like it. Now, the Ölgerð is the Icelandic word for brewery, and as you can see here, it has some little coordinates up here, which is north 65 degrees, west 18 degrees, and this is the shorthand means for writing the coordinates of the brewery's location in Akureyri. And as you can see as well, it says Sérframleiðir. This means speciality brew in Iceland, and of course another one that they point out on their brewery website as well is the word skal, which of course is the Icelandic word for toast. But anyway, just to let you have a further little look at the bottle and cap on this one, let's just see, I'll bring the camera up again for you here. You can see here, it's sort of a similar label to the other ones, except the Viking has reindeer antlers and a little Rudolph's nose on it there, which is quite funny. As you can see, it's a green label as opposed to the other colours there, and you can see it's the standard Einstök bottle cap on this with the battle axes on it here. I really like the way that present these bottles. It's actually a really nice modern way of doing it. But anyway, let's get on to the tasting of this beer. And I'm really looking forward to this one. As I say, this was one I was a bit worried about that I couldn't get a hold of. But this is a 6.7% Doppelbock beer. It's the winter seasonal, as I said, available from October. It uses Munich, Pilsner, Crystal and chocolate malts with Bavarian hops. And it actually won gold this year in the 2013 LA International Beer Competition. So let's get this guy out and get on with the tasting. As I say, very excited to try this beer. This is one I've wanted to review for quite a long time, since I read about the brewery first, in fact. There we are, this is the guy open. A little bit of smoke opening up when you open that up there. But let's get this guy out and see how it goes. Swirl up the last little bit, get a bit of head on it here. Okay, so that's this guy out. So actually, looking at it, it's a hell of a lot lighter than the sort of German Doppelbocks. It's a really interesting colour, but this is probably just down to the water source that they're using for this. As I say, it's very pure, but it's definitely a lot lighter than the German Doppelbocks, but as you would expect. But this is, I would describe this as a sort of dark reddish amber colour. It's really nice actually. I'm not quite sure exactly what kind of colour to describe this as, but I would describe it as a really dark amber. It has a little half finger of a sort of foamy head on it, and that's starting to dissipate now. There are some bigger bubbles appearing in there. But as I say, a really nice, attractive looking beer. There is some carbonation that's visible from the bottom, just some little bubbles that are streaming up quite quickly. And as I say, the colour is just a little bit lighter than you would expect from a Doppelbock, but that's probably just due to their unique water source. In terms of the aroma, it's very malty, this one. You're getting quite a bit of nutty elements, some sort of caramelly brown sugar type of thing. There's some sort of dark dried fruits in there. And there is a hint of roasted character to it as well, sort of roasted and toasted character to it. Really nice smelling beer actually. The aroma in it isn't quite as strong as the lighter beers that they do here actually. It's not quite as kind of pungent, if you like, but it's a really nice kind of subtle nose on this one. There's maybe just a little hint of smoke in there. But let's give this guy a taste. As I say, hugely excited to try this beer and have really looked forward to this for a long time. Oh, that's nice. This is quite a sweet one. On first taste, I'm kind of getting a lot of the malt flavours. You're getting the sort of nutty character with the caramel mixed in. There's actually a good bit of bready character in this one that wasn't so obvious from the aroma. And maybe that just has a little bit of a roasted character to it. Yeah, that bready character in the middle of it where you're getting the malts coming out just that little bit more does have a little bit of a roasted character to it, and there's some nice sort of dark dried fruits in the background there. It's kind of got a little sort of a plummy taste to it, I would say. I'm not very good at picking out the individual fruits, but I would probably describe that as a sort of little plum taste there. There is just a little hint of bitterness on the when you swallow it, but the aftertaste is mainly the sort of fruity characters, but you do have that sort of bready malt background in there as well. This is a really, really nice Doppelbock. It's not what you would expect, actually. It's if you're expecting a sort of German style Doppelbock, it's not that. It's a completely unique thing. But as I say, when you take it in, you're getting the sort of nutty and caramel malts coming out. There's some nice dark fruits in the background. As I say, probably kind of plums, and there's a nice bready character to it as well, which isn't so obvious in the Roma. And you do have that nice toasted element to the bready character. The aftertaste is the sort of the fruits and the bready character kind of mixed together. There is sort of maybe just an underlying thing of chocolate. The chocolate isn't so prominent. I think it's mainly the sort of bready character and the kind of caramel malties with the dark fruits. This is a really, really nice Doppelbock. As I say, it's not quite what you would expect if you're expecting a German style Doppelbock, but you know, that's not what they're going for. They're going for something unique here, as you would expect. But let's just give this, let's have a look at the mouthfeel of this guy. I would describe this one as mid-bodied. As you would expect, different mouthfeel to the German Doppelbocks. It's quite smooth actually, and the carbonation is a little bit active in this one. When you take it in, you do feel it just slightly. It actually makes the beer quite smooth. It's a little bit active when you first take it in, but it smooths out and you don't feel it so much after that, and it makes the beer very smooth. I would describe this beer as a sipping beer, to be honest with you. But that's just me with bock beers. That might just be me. I mean, you might like to drink bock beers a little faster than I do, but I like to sip these things because of the rich flavours in them. But yeah, this is another really nice one. And as I say, you can taste that water source in there. You have to really try these beers for yourself, and you'll see what I mean when I talk about the water source. They're quite rightly very, very proud of this water source, but this is another really, really good beer, and I have to say it's a brilliant brewery. I would highly recommend that you check these guys out. This is another really good example of a beer from the Einstök Ölgerð, one of my favourite breweries, as I've said numerous times in this video. But check this one out. As I say, you get the nice sort of malty characters with the bread and fruit backgrounds in there. Really, really nice Doppelbock. If you're expecting a German style Doppelbock, this isn't like that. It's a completely unique thing. As you can even see from the colour, it's a different colour than you would expect from a Doppelbock, but that's due to their water source, I would want to say. And as I say, a highly, highly really good brewery. One of the only downsides to this brewery, I would say, is the fact that they only have three year-round beers. But as I say, they're very new and they're probably wanting to expand that. I'd actually really love to see this brewery experiment and produce a brown ale. I think that would be really cool to see with this water source. The water source is their main selling point, and it gives you a really unique angle on some quite established beer styles. So it's really, really cool there. I'd love to see them try a proper Bavarian style Hefeweizen, a brown ale. It'd be really cool actually to see a Scotch ale as well. That's a really, really flavourful style of beer. So it would be really cool to see them try out these different types of beer. But anyway, I hope this beer review's been informative for you. This is one I've really, really enjoyed, and I'm really glad that I got to do the review for this one. As I said, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to find it. But hopefully you've enjoyed my beer reviews. Thanks again to those of you who have supported me over the 100 or so videos so far. I'm really grateful for your support, and if you've tried this beer before, please let me know in the comment section what you think of it. It's always interesting to get other beer geeks' perspectives on the beer. But anyways, thanks for watching my beer reviews. There'll be more to come. You've been watching Goddard Radio Moscow, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers.